This is Chief Education Officer Bill Olsen, and welcome to another school district update. Well, this is being filmed on January 10th, just after a large snowstorm and just after a large rainstorm, which makes it challenging for school leaders at all times throughout the winter. Oftentimes we're up early in the morning, checking conditions, whether it's ice, snow, sleet, rain, to make sure that travel conditions are safe for our students and for our staff. It's always interesting. Makes it, as I said, quite challenging throughout the winter months, but it's also an interesting challenge. Tests us with our ability to understand what forecasts look like, what the predictions are from various stations. We rely very heavily on WMUR in southern New Hampshire, and they've been great in working with school districts and being as accurate as possible with weather forecasts. So always interesting during winter months, particularly in New England, because our weather conditions can be so variable. At this time of year, basketball is ongoing, and I would like to tell you about a very special basketball program that Merrimack High School is participating in. It's part of the Unified Student Partners, Unified Sports Partners. It's a collaboration between the New Hampshire Interscholastic Athletic Association and Special Olympics. It brings students with and without disabilities together to engage in competition. And at this time of year, it's basketball. And the Merrimack High School team, and we are exceptionally proud of them, has 5 games that they are playing. In fact, the next game is at 3:30 tomorrow at Merrimack High School. That would be January 11th. Looking to attend that particular basketball game. It's at 3:30 in the afternoon. There's nothing more emotional. There's nothing more exciting and meaningful than watching students with disabilities play along with students who do not have disabilities of various natures in a very collaborative and competitive way. Very, very meaningful program for sports throughout the year, and I'm looking to report more to you about this in the springtime also. So hope to see you at the competitions. As I said, we have one coming up on January 11th, and then there are 2 others after that. Hope to see you there. Check the high school website. All right. Kudos to Mr. Beck and his team and students at Merrimack High School. We've had lots of feedback on the outstanding winter concert, both choral and band, the instrumentals. We have exceptionally talented staff, exceptionally talented students. We're always proud to see them in the performances and demonstrate their respective talents, and they are extraordinary. Midterms at the high school begin on January 17th, excuse me, not January 7th, but January 17th, and run for about a week or so. So we just want to let you know, if you need any information, call the guidance department at Merrimack High School. We want to congratulate MES teacher Teresa Bodette. Teresa, as I said, is a music teacher at Mastrocola Elementary School. She was recently recognized as the WZID Teacher of the Month. And you talk about a passionate teacher. And that is one characteristic that you'll find in nearly every single teacher in this school district, and that's great passion for working with children. They understand the children, they inspire, motivate the students, and believe in them, which is extraordinarily important for a child, particularly a young child, to believe in themselves and their abilities. So Teresa has been recognized. She's done a lot of work. She comes in before school hours to work with the chorus in the 3rd and 4th grade, and she puts together an outstanding 4th grade production at Mastrocola at the end of each year. So Teresa, congratulations on a job exceptionally well done. From the high school, once again, Melanie Headland and Trevor Knight have mentioned to me that There are 40 mentors, which is an incredible number of mentors working with mentees, and, essentially like an advisor and advisee. Mentors play a very, very important role in helping younger teachers, less experienced teachers, feel comfortable, understand the role and the art of teaching, because teaching is an art. I always tell new staff, I want you to remember that content and your ability to teach are extraordinarily important, but you're on stage in front of students. And the key is to keep them engaged and make sure that you interact with them, you connect with them closely, to make sure that they're with you, learning every step of the way, every minute of the way in each and every class. So thank you, Melanie and Trevor. Thank you to all the mentors who have spent so many hours working with our younger staff, less experienced staff, to make sure that they have a wonderful experience and that every child in their respective class has a wonderful experience. Josh Pelton, a highly respected teacher at MHS and the coach of the bowling team, has indicated to me that 2 of our Merrimack High School students have been recognized or ranked, at least right now, as 2 of the top bowlers in the entire state. And there are over 200 bowlers, high school bowlers, in the state of New Hampshire. Ryan Church is ranked number 1 in New Hampshire, and Brandon Fisher from Merrimack High School, both those students from MHS, is ranked number 5. So 2 of our students in the top 5 of over 200 bowlers in the state of New Hampshire. That is incredible. Ryan's average is almost 205 pins. Brandon's is 191. Those are exceptional scores. Those of you who bowl once in a while, and I'm included, those scores are quite admirable. So congratulations once again to Ryan and Brandon on a job well done. From Sarah Campbell, great teacher at Merrimack High School. She has informed me that the Granite State Challenge involving the Merrimack High School team is being actually filmed this Saturday coming up. And the results of that will be announced after the filming. And after that production is done, we wish our team the very best of luck. They've been one of the top finishers for a number of years now and at the top. And we're going to root them on for the same outcome this year. Just a reminder, an exciting day coming up, January 23rd, Primary Day. There'll be no school on those days for students and staff for security reasons, because we know this will be a heavily attended election day. It's an exciting day that I know growing up over the years, whether it's a primary or the actual presidential election, I would always stay up late at night or get up very early in the morning to see what the results were from Dixville Notch in New Hampshire. Those are some of the things that stay with you throughout your life, and we'll hopefully see a large participation on that day. Encourage everyone to get out and vote and exercise your democratic right. January 26th, a few days later, we have a no school day for students, but the staff will be actively involved in a full day of professional development. Our Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum Instruction and Assessment and PD, Amy Doyle, has put together about 8 or 9 or 10 training sessions for staff across the district, from pre-K through grade 12, regular education, special education, for professional staff, for support staff. And so we always consider professional development to be an extraordinarily important part of this profession. Every company in the private sector has professional development, developing their workforce, bringing about a higher level of skills, working on culture. That's what we're working on with every single PD session. And I want to thank our teachers for their very enthusiastic involvement in our half-day and full-day professional development days. We are shortly going to begin developing the school calendar for the 2024-2025 school year. It doesn't even seem possible that we're at that point, but this year is flying by. We will be approaching the midpoint in the school year very, very soon, and it's hard to believe. But when you're really busy, the days go by very quickly. So once again, and each year I like to explain to you a little bit about what goes into the school calendar, because some people think that, well, you just take last year's calendar, change the dates a little bit, and that's it. What we do is we look very carefully at what we're trying to do from a curriculum and instruction perspective, and what type of specialized training is needed for our staff, whether it's in English, whether it's in mathematics, science, social studies, you name it. We want to make sure that our teachers are highly skilled as we can possibly have, because that bodes well for your student. So here are some of the things that we look at when we develop a school calendar. First of all, we want to make sure that it's at least attractive looking and is readable, that you don't have to go looking through the calendar for 10 minutes to find what you're trying to find. We want to make sure it's straightforward, simple, and very readable so that you can pick it up quickly and know what's going on. We have to make sure that we meet the required number of instructional days that is required by the New Hampshire Department of Education. We very importantly look at the sequencing of our professional development days. Do we front load them at the beginning of the school year, or do we disperse them throughout the course of the school year, particularly the full day professional development days? And that's something that we will be discussing at our first calendar meeting coming up shortly in the month of January. We look carefully at holidays and cultural and religious observances and vacation periods. Along with the school calendar, we publish and distribute to our staff a guide to religious and cultural observances with about 10 different events of either religious or cultural nature on it. And we explain that what each particular religious or cultural event means to a family and therefore to one of our students. We want to make sure that we try to avoid having events scheduled on major religious or cultural observances. That document I put together in my former school district in which I worked and brought to Merrimack, and the staff has found it very, very helpful. We want our staff to understand what our students and their families are experiencing, whether it's fasting or any other particular observance that a family will go through on a cultural or religious event. So if you ever want to see a copy of that, we have it posted online. If you ever want to make a comment on that, please give me a call. I'll be glad to take a look at any of your comments and suggestions for revising that. Our calendar also has to take into consideration what is the state requirement for graduation dates. We can have it no more than 5 days from the end prior to the end of the school year, and so that is when we calculate in the date for graduation. We need to put in parent conferences, which are very important. Figuring in election days is where we generally check with the town clerk to find out, is it going to be a day, an election event that has a significant turnout expectations or not? Because in most instances, if it is, we will have that as a no school day and just add that day on at the end of the year. We want to put together vacation periods and the kindergarten registration date. This year, kindergarten registration is coming up on January 24th of 2024. We have to be observant of any collective bargaining agreements that may have some impact on the school calendar. We look to introduce into the calendar a transition day at the beginning of the school year, either a part of a day or a full day, that students transitioning from one school to another have an opportunity to spend a little bit of time by themselves without their other more veteran students in the school being in attendance, and so that they can learn the landscape of the school. You know, we were all nervous when we were growing up when we moved from one school to the next because we didn't know the building, we didn't know the layout, we didn't know the routines. So we're trying to make that as palatable for our students and as easy for our students as possible. We want to put on the calendar the school daily start and ending times. And so the last thing on the school calendar is we want to make sure that as closely as possible we align our calendar with the school calendar of the CTE, schools that our students at the high school feed into. That's career, technical, education, where they gain vocational skills, which are very, very important. I wish every one of our students could have the experience of participating in courses that teach them vocational skills. Unfortunately, there aren't enough schools of that specialty nature there aren't enough openings, but I always look at the importance of vocational education from the perspective of a research report that was done maybe 12, 15 years ago by the Massachusetts Business Alliance for Education. They surveyed hundreds and hundreds of companies with respect to what are the skills that they are looking for with increasing priority of high school graduates and college graduates. 65% of the respondents, of the companies who responded, said they needed students with higher levels of vocational skills. That's how important courses in vocational and technical education are. I wish every school district in this state and in Massachusetts, where I worked for half a century, quite honestly, had their own vocational programs like they did 40, 50, 60 years ago. I understand it's an issue of economies of scale, that it's not practical, that it's not financially feasible. But those skills are exceptionally important for our students. Well, that's the school calendar. We are still in the process, very aggressively looking at putting together a 3-year strategic plan for the school district, looking at priorities, looking at goals, objectives, timelines, how do we assess what we are able to accomplish. And lastly, and this seems to be never-ending, we're still in budget season. We start very early. We started in early October with meetings with our staff at every school, receiving their input, because I want to listen to the people we pay to educate our students. I want to know what we are doing well, but I also want to know what are the needs of students that we are not meeting in full or in part. It all starts with data, assessment data. It all starts with conversations that we have, questions that we ask, information that we seek about our students and our staff. What are our staff needs in terms of the professional development? Please know that we don't simply look at the budget as a series of numbers, a book with about 500 pages of nothing more than numbers. Those numbers are the quantification of needs of students, of our facilities. We're very passionate about how we budget. We don't look to waste taxpayer dollars. That is the last thing we want to do. We want to provide you with a very, very strong return on your investment. It is a school district in every community, regardless of whether it's New Hampshire, Massachusetts, Vermont, Maine, Rhode Island, Connecticut, you name it, anywhere across the country. A school district is the largest budget component of a city or town. It has to be, because of the number of students and therefore the number of staff that we hire, the types of programs and services that we offer. Doesn't mean that we're wasteful. For many, many years, I've been budgeting for about 50 years now in school departments. And sometimes people equate large budgets with wasteful spending. That's not the case. It's just simply not the case. In my former district that I worked for many years, we were designated by NerdWallet.com as the best bang for the buck of any school district in Massachusetts. That's what I'm seeking to bring here to Merrimack through our budgeting and through what we do and how we do it. As I would be happy, very happy, if NerdWallet.com, which is a very legitimate financial company, rated the Merrimack School District as the best bang for the buck in New Hampshire. We'll work towards that, and we will always work towards that, with the priority, obviously, in budgeting being what do we need to do to meet the developmental needs of our students. And as we know, that's a challenge because all of us, or many of us, have siblings in our own families, whether it's one other sibling, 4 or 5, 8, 9 other siblings or more. We're all a little bit different. None of us within our same family is the same. And that's the challenge in this profession. That's how we approach it with great passion. And why we approach it with great passion is trying to figure out what it is that we need to do to make sure that we provide an engaging, inspiring, motivating, meaningful education for students, leading to their successful graduation out of grade 12. I mean that very seriously. We work very hard to try and meet the needs of our kids and meet your needs as a taxpayer. Is it challenging sometimes? Yes, it is. Is it challenging for you as taxpayers? Sure, we're all taxpayers in our own respective communities. But if you have any questions of what we do, why we do it, when we do it, and how we do it, please get in touch with me. I'll either talk with you on the phone. I don't like to do emails, okay, because that's somewhat impersonal. You can either talk with me on the phone or my door is always open. I'd love to have you come in for a few minutes and share your thoughts with me, okay? I'll always devote time to that. All right, enough about talking with the budgets. We're heading into late winter pretty soon, into early spring in another month and a half or so. Looking forward to it. If you have any questions, comments, just contact me at any time. Be glad to speak with you. This is Bill Olsen. Look forward to seeing you next time.